My name is Geoff Hollingworth. Originally, I'm a software developer. I have spent the last 30 years in telecom, starting with 2G, going through 3G, 4G, now we're at 5G, and recently joined Rakuten Mobile and Rakuten Symphony more explicitly as the CMO. Rakuten Mobile did not know that Open RAN was ready when it first started the journey in 2018. And I think the important message to understand is that nothing is ever completely ready until it's done, and then it's in decline. That's the same with 2G, because it needed 3G, 3G needed 4G, 4G needed 5G. So there was a lot of skepticism when Tarek Amin decided to go down the Open RAN direction and the fully cloud native virtualized direction in 2018. What I think we have realized is that when you do something and try, it's very hard, but the rewards can be very, very good. And I think now we can see, after 4 years of journey, the amazement of the industry that Rakuten Mobile has created 90% coverage 4 years ahead of schedule. It has 275,000 cells in operation, but only 250 people managing the total operation of those cells. So the message here is one, not of being ready, but being willing to try and do something different. And that is always hard. It will be hard for everybody for different reasons, but that's how you get different results. Well, I think operationally, we can see that success now in the accelerated rollout of a large number of cells, 275,000, very few people operating the network, because they're not directly operating the network. They're using a software platform that we call Symworld to actually create that hyperscale. I think we've proven that cloud-based, fully virtualized, software-centric mobile networks are absolutely possible to implement in highly dense coverage areas as well. Tokyo is one of the most highly densely populated markets in the world. The top line then is now we start to implement subscriber growth based on that cost basis, based on our ability to leverage the data that we have exposed, and also the programmability of that network layer. So I think we're going to start to see the advantages of having a full cloud operation, not only from an efficiency perspective, but also from a top line experience perspective. Common conversation that we hear is that this is only applicable in completely new builds and not applicable to existing operations, existing operators. We disagree with that. We see that this is the application of new modern technologies into a business and an operation. And one view to see existing operations and operators is not as what's commonly termed a brownfield, but rather a collection of greenfield opportunities and also existing businesses. All of those are available for modernization. Now, do you do all of those at the same time? No, you do not. Some of the existing infrastructure and operations, I fully predict will be here in 10 years' time, 15 years' time. The ones that we want to change, we should change as quickly as possible and actually create the new operating model and growth. So it's a different landscape, it's a different business, it's a different challenge. And it's finding the right tools to meet those needs. Hype is not productive in any context. Neither is saying that something isn't ready or it's not possible to do. There's a more intelligent conversation the industry has to have we have to start talking about the business results and the business outcomes that we want to achieve to bring us to parity with other modern digital service providers, if we want to maintain a relevance and an ability to react in the market. I feel that this conversation is missing. I feel we are caught in a religious high-level war that doesn't allow us to educate ourselves on what is possible. Ourselves at Rakuten Symphony have been created to share what we understand and have learned from Rakuten Mobile to the rest of the industry. And let me be clear, the journey Rakuten Mobile has been on has been the Rakuten Mobile journey. It's been incredibly hard because journeys like this are hard. And the journey of everybody is going to be their own journey. So if you choose to implement a densification of a 4G network and you want to use Open RAN because of real estate challenges for that densification, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the replacement if you have to swap out coverage from a vendor that is no longer available for you to use. Let's talk about how to do that a new way. So let's break the conversation down into different problems that we need to solve and identify whether we can solve those in new, different ways that have different outcomes. The definition of open is not a religious statement about maximizing the number of different vendors we can have. It's a statement about being transparent and open about the solution that's being provided and giving optionality to the customer about how different supply chains can be linked in to that open solution. The previous generations of mobile have increasingly become opaque and black box, and the way that they have scaled is through the delivery of highly integrated solutions from limited suppliers. We have seen the challenges now that the supply chain has become very restricted and the innovation has left the telecom industry because there is no way to introduce new thought, new business, because it is a closed, opaque solution. Now, with open interfaces, it gives the opportunity to reimagine how you want to put together the solution to provide that coverage. In Rakuten Mobile, we have 9 different radio vendors providing coverage across the full spectrum of requirements, from femto to indoor to 6 to sub-6 to macro. They are all managed, though, the same way that provides the scale to allow to do that. So optionality, transparency, and openness are key words in the open way forward. It's highly useful inside the telecom industry because it creates a global market that provides the scale. It gives confidence of interoperability. It gives and allows people to develop new technologies where they know that they can deliver it in multiple regions, multiple geographies. So standards are very important, but standards should not slow down the progress of an industry. We are no different from the web industry, where standards continuously evolve inside web browsers and online, and there are mechanisms in software to cope with the discrepancies across the different supply chain of that browser market. What we have seen in Rakuten Symphony is architectures in the software layer to manage those situations, to maintain the scale, and to manage the standard evolution. So we are big supporters of standards. We don't believe that standards are the answer, and we don't believe that standards are the customer value. The first insight is that the center of gravity moves from hardware to software. The business becomes a software-centric business. The second insight is that it takes an artist to deploy one Open RAN base station, but it takes software and an industrialized automation platform to scale that to 1 million cells. The secret of being successful in Open RAN is not doing the first Open RAN base station. It's understanding how to automate that and provide as much zero-touch operation as possible to be able to scale it without having to scale massive amounts of people and systems integration. This is exactly the same journey that the hyperscalers have created in the IT enterprise space. There is no difference. It's the assembly of the capability in the market at the demand point, rather than the pre-assembly at the factory that is how the previous generations have worked. The most important aspect of the change process that telecom has to undergo is adopting a completely new mindset. Rakuten Mobile made a choice to implement Open RAN. It was a choice because they couldn't really afford to do it the traditional way, so they had to do it this hard way. But mindset in telecom is something that we have to change. We have to move to how can I do this rather than I don't think I can do this. Otherwise, we will never take part in the accelerating technology landscape that is appearing around us. From a skill set point of view, it's software and it's data. And we have to energize the next generation of talent to understand the most important job they could do is implementing the connectivity infrastructure that will power the next generation of society. There is no more important or satisfying or bigger mission that they can take part in. And if we can do that and allow them to develop their software skills into platforms that create the operational efficiency and platforms of growth for countries, then I think the telecom industry can become what it always should be, something that is essential for everybody on the planet and can actually be a very successful business.